Right, so I will have a presentation. I have 20 minutes to do this. This is a presentation about how evaluators look at your proposal. I have 20 minutes. Usually in the European institutions, you would have like the whole day to go through it. So I have a plan that I will help you a little bit in guiding you where to look for information and help, but I will also give you some hints that will help you writing a better proposal. So let's start with this idea that the goal of the individual fellowship is actually, of course, research. There's research that must be creative and innovative. This is all what Ryan was talking about, right? This is important. But equally important is everything that we have on this slide in yellow, which is skill acquisition, advanced training, international and intersectoral mobility, and opportunities to acquire and transfer new knowledge. And all of this has to be reflected in your proposal. And this is basically where people lose their points. To give you an idea, in the last round, I think you can get 100 points for the proposal. This never happens. The threshold is 70 points, but projects that were funded last year were around 92 points. So let's say, especially in social science and humanities, the competition is fierce because everybody thinks, okay, I can write a proposal, right? It's just because we are using words, right? So we said, okay, we can write it. It's great. It's much more complicated when you are in STEM fields because then you need another, it takes more effort than write a proposal. So there we have to be very careful because if we are skilled with words, we have to read exactly what is required from us, and we have to be able to write it in such a way that a person like me who evaluates the proposal can actually tick all the points that I have to tick when I read it. Twice, I have, for one proposal, I have around 1 hour and a half, and there are 10 pages of a very dense text. So you have to be clear. This is one thing. So what it all means. First of all, I will tell you, you will get the presentation, that these are the links to the proposal form. But in order to make it easy for you, the Commission put also the self-evaluation form. This is very important. When you apply for the Marie-Curie Fellowship, Marie Skłodowska-Curie Fellowship, you should always read all the material. It's not enough to read only the proposal, how to, the form, and only the guidelines for the program. You have to read everything. This is a lot. So print it out, use a highlighter, spend a few hours to get into the language as well. And so they also have the self-evaluation form, which is exactly the same as we use when we evaluate your proposals. It's exactly the same. So it helps you understand if you covered everything. And it's online. So you can, of course, start the submission on the website. It's very easy to find, You choose your type of the action that you want to apply for. In the individual fellowships, you have 5 different panels within your discipline in a way. So you can apply as a career restart panel. For example, you went off from academia to do other things, right? I don't know, to be a diplomat or work for the government or be a mother, I don't know. Then you don't need to apply to the standard panel, but also you can apply to the career restart panel. Then you can, well, if you used to be a Marie-Curie fellow, you can apply to the reintegration panel. I think this is when you come back. No, I don't remember. Sorry, Victoria.
Yeah. No, so the reintegration panel is only for those that are either European citizens or long-term residents of
Okay.
Europe. Other than that, you would not be eligible to apply for the reintegration.
Okay, so non-Europeans and non-long-term residents of Europe are not eligible.
Correct.
Okay, so we skip that.
Well, we have some Europeans.
Yeah, we have a lot of dual citizens, so it's fine. But anyway, it means that you have to reintegrate because you come back to Europe. This is the idea. This is for the brain circulation towards Europe. Then you have society and enterprise. It may apply to us as well if our research is applicable outside of academia. And then we have the standard European fellowship, which is the one we have been talking about the most for the Canadians coming to Europe, for example. And then we have the global fellowships for the Europeans going everywhere else. So you choose your panel. Big hint, the most proposals are here. So if you can find yourself in any other, that is helpful, because we like diversity, and we like to say, we managed to get people also on the other panels. Okay, now I will walk you through the sections of the proposals. They're actually 3. So when you open the document, this is a PDF document with a proposal, and it's only 10 pages. And I have to tell you, we are very strict with that. 10 pages, not a word more. We just don't read it. We have it blanked out when it comes to us, right? So you have to be. So there are ways of playing with it. For example, you can play with the margins, and you don't want to play with the font, because once I got a proposal, there used to be a rule that in the tables, in the text, in the proposals, you could use the font of the size that you wanted. So I got a proposal to evaluate, but it was made of tables with the font 8. And I said, I'm not reading it. Sorry. So, I had to read it because, but of course the person didn't get the grant, We were so unhappy with that. So try to be reasonable, okay? So excellence, number 1, 50% of your points. You have 4 points there. So quality and credibility of the research and innovation project. This is where you describe your research, and you tell us in a very standard way, in a way, why is it innovative, right? Why it is unique, why it is new. And this is basically 2/3 of this section, more or less. Remember to put bibliography. If you don't have literature a review, we don't like it. It has to be sound.
But does it have to be part of this 10 pages?
Yeah.
What if your bibliography is 10 pages?
Well, I managed to do that. There are ways of doing that. So you can number, for example, bibliography, so then you quote in the text only numbers. Many people do that. This is the system, I think it's called ETA or whatever. Yeah, like really you have to condense it, and you have to choose, because of course we don't want to have 10 pages of bibliography for a text of 1 page, because this means that it's something wrong with you, because then it means that you have like a bibliography every 5 words. It's too much. You have to show that you know what is the most important, because so this is one thing. Then there is appropriate consideration of interdisciplinarity. This is what we were talking about. This does not mean that you have necessarily be able immediately to show that you are an expert in 2 different fields. It means that you have to show you are an expert in 1 field, but you are confident that you can go out and reach to another field and apply it, right? And this is what you will be then showing throughout the proposal, how you will get there. And this is the part that we call training, right? And then the gender aspects. Of course, if you're a woman, this is already a good thing. But then in our field, it's not that much, because there are a lot of women, so it's basically the men are less represented, honestly. So what it means, you have to write about gender and how you think you will encompass this dimension. So for example, in research, that you will be researching, I don't know, 50-50 men and women, or that you have to show that you are aware of this aspect. No one will tell you that you have to research 50-50 men, women among, I don't know, physics engineers, right? But, there it will be representative. So whatever. Then you have the quality and appropriateness of training and two-way transfer of knowledge. This is interesting because people usually don't know what the two-way transfer of knowledge is. It means basically that you have to write there what you will bring to the institution. This is what Brian alluded to when he was explaining about the importance of the institution. And also what the institution will give to you. So if you want to explore a new field, new methodology, you want to learn something. For example, I put in my proposal quite a few years ago that I would learn about the twinning of databases. I had no idea what it was. I wanted to learn. So I had to prove that my institution, Carleton University, had the means and tools to teach me that. So I had to write, okay, I will take this training for the postdocs. This, I will talk to this professor who is in the wider institution. He doesn't need to be my supervisor. He needs to be there. I also promise I will learn how to do the maps in the GI whatever system, right? I got that training, right? Because Carleton had that training. You have to put it all there. What is available to you? And this is very important. And then you say what you will give. So you would say, oh, I will teach. I will give conferences. This might not be enough. Maybe you need to do more. You have to talk to your institution. Maybe that they also have ideas how to use you. We will be looking for these traces of communication in your proposal. Remember, you don't write your proposal in a limbo. You always have to write it in conjunction with your future institution, your host institution. They must be aware what you're doing. They have their internal deadlines. If they are in Europe, they probably already have a standard text to help you out, to tell you, okay, put this in your proposal, they will help you. So the quality of supervision and integration in the team institution, this is again your supervisor. I will not repeat what Brian said, but choose wisely. Because another thing that happens very often in these projects is that you read the proposal and you know that the applicant was totally alone when he or she was actually writing it. You just see it, right? Your supervisor is responsible to help you out with the proposal. They have to read it at least once. Mine read it twice, right? You have to get them, you have to get a person who has experience, who knows what the fellowship is, and they can help you out. Because then they will also suggest you, this is how you can be integrated in our team. Yes, you will probably work with me on this other project, This is very good because they will know, okay, so if you get it, this fellowship, you will also help me out with other projects. So you will gain new skills. If you put it in the proposal, this is good because this is training, right? This is integration. This is good. So we are looking for all this. And then the potential of the researcher to reach or reinforce professional maturity or independence during the fellowship. And this is important, that this is in the time of the fellowship, where you have to show when you write that you will be publishing, that you will be growing professionally while you are the fellow. And this is different from the second part where you have impact. And it starts with the enhancing the future career prospects, right? So you have the two different ideas there, and people often do not understand this, and they repeat stuff, under excellence and under impact. Under excellence, this is only about the time of your fellowship, that you will go to conferences XYZ, that you will produce that. Here, what will be your impact? What will be the impact of your fellowship on your career? So here you write about your future. This again what Brian was talking about, imagining your research agenda, imagining your future after you have this. So if you get new skills, right? Because imagine your fellowship, you had a set of skills, not one skill. Mind you, we like to see a list like 3, this is minimum. This is a training fellowship afterwards, right? Nowadays, right? If you want to get like the maximum of points, list of new skills, clear, in bullet points. So then when you get all these skills, I don't know, new theory, for example, exposure to methodology. I did at UBC that training in education. I have a diploma in educational technology as a part of my fellowship because I wanted to improve my teaching skills, right? And they paid for that. Like I could use my training money to do this. This is a lot of money. But now I have the skills, right? So then I could do that because I said, okay, when I enhance, in the future, when I will have done all this, like all of this, I will be a better teacher. So I will have a better opportunities on the labor market. I will do my habilitation because in Poland we still do habilitation. You don't have it here, but I can be tenured. Whatever. What you think you will do with this. it needs to be very concrete. And then you have the quality of the proposed measured to exploit and disseminate the project results. I think that our presentations later on will go into more detail about this. And the same about the communication. Remember, this is 30% of your proposal. This is a lot. Okay. And the last but not least, implementation 20%. This is where we cut. When we cannot cut anywhere else, this is where people lose points because they don't really understand what we mean by it. So, coherence and effectiveness of the work plan, including appropriateness of the allocation of tasks and resources. What you have to do here, you have to have, that is my advice to you, a Gantt chart. In this part, you put a Gantt chart. You divide your work in the working packages and activities. So work package, activities, calendar. And if you have this sorted out on paper, it looks really nice and evaluators are happy because they can then see, okay, this makes sense, right? The work package number 0, this is management. Oh, the fellow understands that he will need to manage the money and the budget. So he has this line there, right? And he will, this is good. And then we look, okay, so he says he will do, I don't know, activity, the work package interviewing, for example, interviews with 100 people. And then he says, oh, I will do it in 3 months. And then we say, no, you cannot do this in 3 months, for example. This is what we can. So you have to have your project planned out, right, with all the activities. And of course, when you do a Gantt chart, this is nice because then it can be smaller and it's much more effective than writing it, you know, as well. I mean, you have to have some narrative, but it's not very long. And what is also important is risk management. People don't write about risk. Again, a nice table, risk, mitigation measure. Right? Like in the project, this is a part of the project management that you have to write about. And the last one is appropriateness of the institutional environment infrastructure. This is where you describe your host institution. This is where they have, usually in Europe, they have parts of texts that they will actually send to you to put inside. So libraries, access to your office, for example. Will you have an office? Will you have access to the library? Will you have access to this or that? You know, the more you have access to the better. Because they, and also, very important, who will do your budget? Will you have administrative support? We are looking for all these things. It's very important. So it's on 10 pages, everything, because this is the end. But so you have to be very condensed, but you have to tick all the points. And this is why please do not hesitate to look at the evaluation, self-evaluation document, because it's all there in a weird language. Okay, any questions? Not here.
You mentioned the word Gantt chart,
Gantt chart.
Gantt. And when you say risk management, what would you do? I wasn't sure what that meant. Like what kind of risk?
To your project. What? Because we expect your project to deliver a result. So when you write about, you know, what you have to think about your project in terms of objectives, how you will do it, and what will be the deliverables. And now, if you do not deliver the deliverables, what happens? So It can be anything. It can be, I don't know, the exchange rates go crazy. There is war. People that don't want to talk to me. Like I was supposed to do. No, for example, in my example, life happened. So I had like 1/3 of my fellowship. My research was about the Canada-Europe trade agreement, and I started my fellowship in 2015 because it was supposed to be signed, sort of 2016, implemented, and then the Wallonia happened, and I couldn't do it anymore because there was no progress. And my fellowship ended in 2017, so I had to have a risk management approach to that and to have an idea what I will do instead or how I can work it out, So this is what happened. Yeah?
I have an online question.
Excuse me?
You have a question?
Yes.
Online.
Yeah, online.
So the question is, would you recommend to attach a reference letter? If so, from whom should it come?
No reference letters. We don't care about reference letters. No, at all. I mean, who cares? This is your proposal. The reference that you have is the name and the bio of your supervisor. If I wanted to do research about European citizenship, I got the guy who is like a guru on European citizenship. And I was lucky enough that he actually accepted, And then, because then what we do when we evaluate, we go to the Google Scholar, and so that person, who is this supervisor, right? Is he or she really good in the field? Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the length of the fellowship because we sometimes say that, you can use it as a sabbatical if you choose to go for 12 months because, the rule is you can go either for 1 or 2 years if you go to Europe.
1 or 2 years to Europe, yeah.
Yeah. So have you encountered during your evaluation a proposal or a project that was for 1 year?
Yes, actually, I think I did. The professor at UVic, he went for 1 year.
Okay.
To Florence, I think.
It was successful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but he has a spending, so he was able to write a very good proposal. So, but usually it's better to do 2 years. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this. But since this panel was organized by Marie-Curie, the Alumni Association of North America, I was just wondering what kind of support the association here in North America could or does provide to North American researchers that are interested in applying for this, whether it's coaching or peer review or maybe a webinar for people who are considering to apply.
This is exactly what we are doing now. We are recording this session and it will be available on our website. So because we are unable as a management team to review proposals because there are only a few of us and it's just beyond our capacity. But this is what we try to do. I also want to say that at least in Quebec, they have a national contact point for these actions and they should be able to get help. But if not, honestly, I very much encourage everybody to go to their future host institution. If this is in Europe, they will get a lot of help because these people know how to do this and they know that they have to help.
There's an MCP in every single country of Europe, so
There,
wherever you decide to go, whether it's the EU or associated country, there will be, in some cases, even more than one.
So that there are, I will repeat it for the people online, there are NCPs in every European country, and honestly, you can contact them. Well, their response rate, it depends. I contacted, for example, my Polish one when I was applying from Italy to go to Canada, and they read my proposal with me. And they've contacted the commission on my behalf with my 80 questions that I had about the proposal, right? And they were like, okay, because they are there, they are paid to help you, even if you're Canadian.
Two things. NCP is national contact.
National contact points, yes.
And,
NCP, yeah.
And the second thing is you might actually, like in your field, you might actually know someone that has written a grant proposal for Marie-Curie or has won one. So that's the best source. There's a listing of people that are reviewers also on the website. What is the Executive Agency for Research?
ERC? No, RIA. RIA, yeah.
They have actually a listing of the reviewers.
Can you just contact them?
I mean, in research, you can find their name and find their university and find their email. And reach out to them. That's actually how my project that later I'm going to talk about was created. Basically, my supervisor didn't know any of the other people. He just sent emails to these researchers in the field and said, I want to do a project like this on this time. And they wrote that proposal. Don't be shy about contacting people randomly.
No, because then it really shows. When you read proposals, you can tell who put time and effort. This is not a project that you will write in 3 weeks. I started in April. I traveled to Canada to meet my institution in July. And then I submitted in August, right? This is, it takes time and effort if you want to do it right. And then even if you don't get it the first time round, but your score is around 90, don't get discouraged. Look at, where we cut your points, improve it with help, and reapply. Like 2 years ago, I had a proposal that got 91 points, but the cutoff was at 92, so he didn't get that. This year, he reapplied and he got 96 points because he ticked everything that we said needed improvement. So
you always get comments from the evaluators.
Yeah.
That's what's nice. That your proposal is basically evaluated by at least three
evaluators will read your proposal.
And then, you get comments on like what could be perhaps improved or so exactly like if your points are high but you don't meet the cut because of the budget, you're just below the line, then you reapply. Because the Marie-Curie is good that it doesn't have a re-application constraint. So you can basically apply another year. Because ERC has like these constraints, but Marie-Curie doesn't.
No.